To me, hurling, it's more than a sport. It's an art. It's our song. It's our dance. It's our war. The game was what I lived for, and being excellent in the game was what I lived for. I was born into a place where hurling was very much the currency. You walk to school, one side you've got the church, on the other side you've got Statue to Christy Ring and the GA field. Early days, I recall my grandmother saying to me that I had Ring's blood running through me, and from my own point of view, there was a valley, two gods on either side, and there was one god that I had the faith in, and that was the hurling god.
Wain Donal Cusack cáileamach mar chulbáid a bhí ceanródaíoch agus nuálaíoch. Dorbar se mar imleoir I meánscán na mnáide Crístí a maniste na corran, mar chaiptín nar a bhúdar corran an ásta in Laochra cúig.
It's where his real leadership started to shine through. It was their holy grail and a stepping stone to moving on to the next level, which was intercounty.
Dick for Cake Darira is a vision Thompson Fui Ulvuchan agus Cox Session Trinale.
Gets a second chance. Good stop by Donal Cusack.
We have Vienwood Monitor for Falcast.
Here's a chance. Well saved by Donal Cusack.
One thing that we definitely had as a group, there was a lot of strong characters, a lot of guys with a real winning mentality.
The minor All-Ireland, and now they're under 21 hurling champions as well.
It's a big day in the hurling life of Donal Cusack from Cloyne, taking over in the Cork goals from Gerard Cunningham.
Bhí Donal go measc seisiir a dimir sa gréibh gon chéadúir an láisiún in Éifort Láirige in Éireannaí.
I remember Jimmy ringing me and saying, look, he said, George's retiring. You're going to be my goalkeeper now. George, to me, was the greatest goalkeeper ever to play the game. Really tough to train with. A huge man compared to me, especially at the time. This was the level that I needed to get to.
Help from Diarmaid O'Sullivan.
Massam Grove Mascon on the yes, so Vernon Shinda, Shandini, Agus Dini Ogun. So Armana Viaka, Agus Lou Classe, Bahid, come on.
I remember Paul Flynn striking a free.
15 minutes to go. Thinking of a goal.
It almost took about 2 seconds, but there was a wall of noise like I had never heard before from the Waterford supporters in the terrace. I'll never forget that feeling.
Ken McGrath, good ball in. And the swing, which Donal Cusack has to be very, very vigilant and very alert to. It's all over at Tucker Stadium. Jimmy Barry Murphy is elated.
Chunne buan óg Jimmy Barry Murphy ar a bagróchaint, agus throsiad Cliffy Canish na Hayden.
There is a wonderful sense of atmosphere. The rain comes lashing down once again.
I remember there was a fierce hailstone shower as we were warming up, and I can remember my hands being frozen. This is the All-Ireland final, this is very serious, and I can't get my hands warm. It was a very tight game, and I remember Brian Corkin was marking John Power. Corkin was bettering him. That set the tone for all of us. The weeks after that was the first time I ever really experienced excitement, and everywhere where you went, the happiness, and there'd be bands playing and bonfires lighting, and fantastic experience as a young man.
We found Captain Lawson right, hey, by Meadne, Contosigan saw 5 better Trino Canavrian, a Shoharai.
Ach ní mar a híltir a bítir, agus dar a rudí gomór ar fe coppla blian. Níor an na himmirí sásta, agus bhí na feibanna inbheannacha I gimmar tionchar ar a bhurian ar a barcs na bautí cáiliche in na Gaillimhe I 2000 agus a dó.
And Broderick's away, the trademark flick. And he put it over the bar.
We were just blown apart. Just blown apart.
Joe Rabbit over his shoulder, and Rabbit hit that brilliantly. He's back.
I just remember we were absolutely...
Fergal Healy has got another one.
I remember Fergal Ryan coming back to me and saying, this is... He says, you nearly want to start slowing down the puckouts here.
It's all over. It's the end of the road for Cork.
For us, it was a representation of where things were.
Belair and son go 5 in a compa a bhí níos mó na mar cap running an home.
Nuair ná réitiú na feibanní sin, thocrún na himmirí gur agóide testa le brúch ar bhhair de chundé. Ag deireadh na bliana, chuaisiad ar stailc.
Someone needed to put their head above the parapet, if you like. I was the guy who was doing the talking, but I was only representing very much the views of the vast majority of players. The county board, that was the organisation that was, should be putting in place every facility to help these players excel at their game and represent their county, were not doing their duty.
The players and everyone involved had to be aware of the circumstances, the chance where you might never again play inter-county hurling. If we continued to go down this road, it was a nervous time.
We were taking on an institution, but we also knew that if we stuck together, that we wouldn't be beaten. And that's how it turned out.
Honnig deir leis an stailc agus honnig fés na conialacha go imimiúí, agus mar sméir mollaíir, capú Donal O'Grady in the Wanistead.
Donal would have recognised that the game was changing and would have brought a lot of new ideas to the group. It was manna from heaven for us.
Le corchoige agus stíl nó, bro corca chlufi canis na héireand in géadúid ó naideg na chanai.
Final is underway and straight away it's well taken by the goalkeeper. Donal Cusack. He fires it into Jodine. There might be one here. Satanta's missed it. Useful attacks now being mounted by Cork. James Ryle not standing his ground, and once again it's Satanta Halpine, and he scores.
I remember at the time that Satanta was just after getting the goal, and you kind of got that feeling, geez, we're in trouble here.
And he's put the teams level for the second time.
Someone was going to have to pull out some big trick to get us out of there.
It's Martin Comerford. He balances it, he strikes, and he scores.
I always believe in goals like that. You should never show your disappointment. I would have had those conversations with our own defence like that. If anything goes wrong, we don't ever show our weakness out in the field.
It could be the crucial goal of the game.
I think Donal was expecting the pile driver that never came. It just completely deceived him.
Kenny with the tackle. McCarthy.
For us that day, even though it was such a hurtful thing, I remember just wanting the lads to remember this feeling.
His message was, drive the hurt in further to make us realise that, we're not too far away here.
Take a good look around because we're going to be back. Come what may.
An bhliain sin bhí fáibháin ón uaireanta nuair a bhíoh buileadh tacht stacaid ó 10 leat na mar sin de bheith. Ní híocht Don Lo chun talamh, bhíoh sé dul siar ar a hailí. Is cuinnam an chef de force chun é sin a thocrú ná fuaimse fearas cricket. Right, so, bhí cosint aige ina corp go thomláin, right, okay, agus bhí an clogad aige.
Then he instructed the other goalkeepers to take puck-outs at me from 5 yards. And I remember at the time thinking, is this a test? This guy's surely testing me here to see. And I remember when I was a kid that my dad, stronger than advised, I would say warned me that if I ever turned my back, he'd take me out of goals. Goalkeeper lives on a knife edge, if you like, and sometimes you might say that that's the actual attraction to it, but the mindset behind it was absolutely correct, and that he wanted me to train my mind that no matter what was coming at me, that I would lean forward.
Leis na mónaí nó tréála in neartú na fórne, díl chorca, ríide cúldaras chlufi canis na héireand na gábhíleach sa ceithir in Aichil chuine.
They were going for 3 in a row. What better time we saw it for us as a group to go and stop that.
I always remember the speech that Donal gave us before the game. Might surprise you. He highlighted or contrasted the difference in terms of the contribution that Cork had given during the War of Independence compared to Kilkenny's. We were proud of who we were. We were proud of the way we did our business. We were proud of our heritage. And it definitely sparked something off inside all of us.
Hochrí mar úsáid a dhéanamh as an sibh. Puck na gear, má bhí an chansán.
Without doubt, Donal was initiating the attacks for Cork. We intercepted 2, I think maybe 3. We got 2 points off it, and we felt, right, that'll put him off doing that. But they stuck at it in the second half and caused us no end of problems that day.
The start of the second half, we really started to get going. Our game started to kick in. I remember looking, Henry Shefflin was after ghosting him behind the defence and nobody picking him up. DJ Carey, hand passing. I remember just thinking, stand up and make myself as big as possible, which were Donal O'Grady's words always. I knew what the right thing to do was that, pick the ball and try and work it out.
Mar bhí mar ag obair an ro sin teachas just buile leidir cosís fan bar Laochra dine.
Niall, which he was almost programmed to do at the time, was looking for Joe, and we won a free and got a point from him. Would have gotten great satisfaction out of it because it was something we worked so hard on.
I think once that happens, I just felt it was gone from us at that stage.
On bhliain dar gíon ceapú John Allen mar bhainisteoir.
John would go on to improve the standards that we had in place, and we were Sean O'Ga helping, making it very clear to everybody that if John Allen asked you to jump, you were to ask how high. That set the tone for the way our business was going to be ran for that year.
Bhí cuma fíorghaidí ar chorca. Bhrú siad craobh na mún, ach bheith plán na uimar a tastal le Gael Wola ag glufi canis na héireann.
And we were having a meeting with John Allen and discussing puckouts. The decision being made that, look, Galway are absolutely expecting us to go short, so we're going to bombard them with long puckouts. I remember Brian Corcoran coming out into the half-forward line and him crashing underneath those balls and us getting scores off it, and that tactic working great. I remember us always being kind of ahead in the game. I remember us being in control.
Donal, Cusack, Gael, Fad, and Edog, Shady, Egan Raitor, August Shiddy, Ta Cullen Vicori, Grutze, Corca.
I don't think there's too many fellas that you play with that you consider your hero, but Sean O to me was an absolute hero and still is to this day, and to see him then going up the steps at the Hogan stand and he lifting the cup, I'll never forget that feeling.
Bhí Corca mar a réime, agus thosan chainte de tríú ceann as a chéile, ach bhí bothreile leisú le Donal go hábhil agus a sé nachra fort na himafra.
From Cusack to Clonmore flows a stream of Saxon gore. How great is Rory O'More, ascending looms the Harris, grey as sick, white as fled, all for Black Fitzwilliam's head.
Oh, Brett's time was more rapid. We'll keep dancing, Jimmy, and dreaming. I'm going to teach my daughter the shim sham. With you. You'll write this, won't you, Jim?
I will, and I'll send you back money for a party.
So very well, my young true love, and when I return united we will be.
Dogs have always had subtle little ways of telling you when something's wrong. But with gum disease, it's not that easy. So Pedigree developed Dentasticks. Just one chew a day could help reduce tartar build-up by up to 80%, reducing the risk of gum disease, letting him get on with the really important stuff.
Nom 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 nom. Pedigree Jumbone. It goes om and nom and nom. Om nom 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 nom.
1, 2, 3.
The all-new Hyundai i30. See it at the Hyundai Final Fortnight event, March 3rd to 16th. Your last chance to trade, upgrade and save with 5 years free servicing, scrappage up to €4,000 or free insurance on the entire 171 range. Hyundai Final Fortnight event, March 3rd to 16th at Hyundai dealerships nationwide.
At KBC, we've got some shockingly good news for home buyers. Did you know you can get a great value mortgage with a KBC current account? So you better start practicing for that housewarming party. You do the home bit, we'll do the house bit. KBC, the bank of you.
Well,
sure there was lots of mud. I shook off so much mud. It was here, now it's gone. Every bit, every drop, every inch where I saw my mud go.
Flash. Ah, it works miracles. Flash. Ah, cleans up the impossible.
By Donal Cusack and chéad leich spórt in éirin, a thug le fis go hoscailte, gur a sé éireach.
It was a good thing that I was able to do with my profile, and I'd like to think that it did make it easier for the next person. But I don't think there was any more pressure on me than facing into the Munster Championship.
When you played Cork, Donal Cusack's name was mentioned a lot. He was the guy that was dictating the way Cork played. He was the focal point of their attack. He done everything in his power so as that ball wouldn't go past him.
One of the opponents almost impossible to master was the sun. There was a new type of contact lenses that were developed that would highlight a white ball against a green background. So those contact lenses became another tool of my trade.
Amazing intervention there by Donal Cusack. That's it. Cork are once again the Munster hurling champions.
Chábhíleach sa sé, bhí Cork go fósatóirid in tríú craomhhaisa chéile nar a chasadar ar fortláige sa glufa leathanis.
I remember going into Crow Park that day, and on my locker there was a quote from a famous American general, General Patton, and it was about, the warrior spirit. And I remember the lines to fill yourself with that warrior spirit and send that warrior into action, and always be on the lookout to do something better for your team.
Dropping it in short, and it's against up on the line. That was so dangerous. Donal Cusack again making a wonderful stop. It's Owen McGrath who's coming in. It's Hurley that was flying. And once again, Donal Cusack makes a magnificent catch. Shanahan's in there. They're all in there. And the goalkeeper has it.
Or safe transfer of the ball and accuracy of our game and accuracy of the puckouts was very important. And, the slitters were a huge part of it. And if that meant tampering with the slitter, we were going to do it. I was going to do it. I would have been filing down the rims of slitters to take the edge off them. If I saw a nice slitter, I'd always make sure, right, that would be put away into my bag of slitters. But I do recall that day thinking, right, I need these slitters. And I remember asking the ball boy, if you look after me, I'll give you my jersey after this game. If he was any good, wouldn't mind breaking a rule or two, and fair play to him. He was true to his word and I was true to mine.
Donal once again, this time looking for a bit of movement by McCarthy, who was opening up the middle by taking a run to his right. And it has...
Cléhúnta go bheith right? Bhí sé cosúla cléile dóige, bhí an líróí dul súscaí beidir leithlíne cool portláir, bhí sé tachtanús rúis agus mar sin de.
The champions are fired up. Dean comes in again, giving it away from Murphy. Flipping it inside to Knockdown. He's got another chance. He's got a goal. Tony Brown, close down. Again they close it down. The referee is calling for the ball.
Absolutely no way was it a free to Waterford. Recalled Ken McGrath stand up to take it.
Ken McGrath is 65 metres out from his own goal. His side are a point behind. Will they get a draw?
I remember striking the ball, and I remember thinking, that I could get it.
Will it land over the bar?
Léim sé tús agus bhí sé ar leid, I'd say bhí gúlin Haran Trasnán, agus rin sé bhreatáil amach.
Cork are hanging on there.
It was just one of those days that when it was needed that it came off.
That's the final whistle. It's all over. They gave it everything they had. It's Cork who are in a fourth final in a row. The champions win by 1-6.
By Donal leich na himar an lásin, agus buad Corca ráha láidir na núdar gon chlufi canis.
If things go right for us here, we could win a lot more than 3. Some people might say it's Cork arrogance. I'd like to think it was belief that we had it in ourselves.
We couldn't comprehend conceding a 3 in a row to them, given that they had stopped us. There was a serious edge to it. We probably wanted to, to quieten them. We wanted to put them on their arses.
Great pressure by Kilkenny being exerted this time. Comes up here, and that's swung beautifully over the bar by
Donal was blown back once or twice.
And the referee has stopped the Cork goalkeeper, and that's the first time in the match he has stopped him from taking the puck out too quickly.
We forced them into a bit of a retreat.
Again, the pressure is on. Bounces away from O'Sullivan. Bounces around to Fogarty. He's going to go!
Definitely that day they were way better prepared. They also were very good at stopping our running game.
The rebel treble has been foiled by a magnificent kick.
Our dream was shattered. We wanted that 3 in a row, and If we had defeated Kilkenny that day, Brian Cody position would have been under pressure, and you would have liked to think that we would have continued to evolve and go from strength to strength.
An bhliain dar gíon, cheap áir de chundé Gerald McCarthy mar bhainisteoir, agus bhí tréimhse corach rúmpa. Bhín clufa cunsbóideach sin Semplegate, agus sa saora, ní raidir le clufa leachanis na héireann na bhaint amach.
You see, Gerald was doing his best. He wanted to do his best. He was a great Cork player, but we felt there was better management propositions out there.
Chudar style cleis na pelladúí ag deireadh 2007, go asentas le bord de chundé ríist faoi struchtúr bainisteachta na fórne. Ach lean na homannaí lehop faoi Gerald de 2008. Kegur siad mí hosta.
Red card for Cusack, yeah. Donal Cusack sent off. It could be a real turning point in the match. Emerging from that group is a dangerous moment. There's a goal chance, and it's buried. And there was nothing Donal Cusack could do.
Faoi dhéireann na bliana, bhí rudí galchan donis.
When it was becoming pretty apparent what was ahead of us, myself and John said that, look, we need to go and talk to Gerald face to face and tell him what's been going on. So we told him the story, told him that the players didn't have confidence in him. Gerald made it clear to us that night that he wasn't going anywhere. Went back to our players and said, look, this is the choice that we have. What do we want to do? And I think it was unanimous that the players would go on strike. Thus started that whole winter of, if you like, misery again.
But down in Cork, the latest battle between players and officials has passions running high.
Going into it, the question that we were faced with, do we finally yield to the board and back down from them? Or do we stand up and fight for what we believed in?
It took a lot of backbone, a lot of courage, because there was a lot on top of him.
Rinne sé skult kinte, sa comté, commander sin rinne sé skult globina.
I regret anybody got hurt in it. I regret that Gerald had to be in the position that he had to be in, because the fight was between the players and the board. Yet the board knew exactly what they were doing. But in terms of regretting what we did, the only regret I have is that we didn't give them half enough of it. That when we had our foot on their chests, that we should have went all the ways. We stood up, we fought, and we stuck together, and we came out the other side.
Honnig deireadh leis an stail cníomhneach na deireadh Gerald McCarthy as a márta 2009. Dennis Walsh a honnig a górbucht dead, agus still na himnoí leabála chrí chomórtas na sratha.
Well, look, I think everybody knows what happened over the winter at this stage, and on a personal level, and I think it's on a team level, we're just glad to be back out here playing for Cork.
Dimir Cork go na hifradáran in the gate chlufa críomh an téisiúr sin.
Cork were very, very competitive that day. All the pressure was kind of on Tipperary.
Loading it in high again, testing ball, Cusack comes off his line.
That day we almost won the game.
Ball inside, there's a chance! Should have rattled the net.
It would have been a fierce victory for us.
But credit to both sides.
It was a sign that we were coming back and that we were coming out of those struggles.
Chunne Donal log ar gimmert agus grím ar Anzi.
Chance here for Gael, will he go for it? Saved by Donal Cusack. Excellent stick one.
Goalkeeper under pressure again, remained ice cool.
I 2002 bhí Jimmy Barry Murphy ar éis ar isteúr agus bhaintead clufill leachanis na srahamach.
Jimmy came in, made me captain. I was absolutely delighted. Great honour. I was going to do whatever I could to be as good a captain as you possibly could be.
He could have easily gone trusach, Garmach, Gemagra, a tabuka himach.
After about 20 minutes, there was a ball coming into the bar and I had to step back. And I heard like a thick rope breaking. And I remember just saying to myself, just keep steady, get the ball away, get the ball away. And it wasn't even the pain, it was the noise. I knew there was trouble. The snapping your Achilles tendon is probably one of the worst things that can happen to you.
Very serious injury. It looks like he's gone for. He's a big loss as captain and a big loss as goalkeeper, and he is the players' leader really, I suppose, and had a huge influence in the dressing room, so it's a major loss to us.
Here was a blow. I didn't want to let this beat me and I wanted to get back in. I wanted to fight for my jersey.
Fan na míana, d'aibre Donal log le hiocht ar éis agus cíiminn uair 2013. In sin laur Jimmy Barry Murphy leis.
He said, look, I made the decision to let you go. I said, but Jimmy, I know you made me a promise. You came down to my own house and you promised me. I said, please don't do this to me, in that whatever about dropping me, whatever about making me number 2, number 3, number 4, I'll take that. But don't not give me the opportunity to get back into the ring and fight. But that was his decision. He was manager of the team, and that was it.
Bhí sé únórmsa gur scaoileach leis. Ag cábh na blianta taithí ón banéal.
I still hadn't enough of it. I still hadn't walked out the door in that place that I wanted to be when I was sick of it.
Agus buin mar a chríoch na Donal go chuid leinnta imara mar chulbáide go chorca. Ach bu ceannaí a gcónaí é ón báist, agus é mar chaithir lochair chuman na nimimiúí an GPA. Lás deirú le bhí an na gábhílegus a de na de thug an CLG Antas effigiúil gon chuman.
Like, we're all GA people. Like, most of the players I know that were involved in the GPA and are involved in the GPA, like myself, are involved with their clubs, will end up with their clubs, understand the whole journey that they're on, but also understand that there needs to be fairness.
I think there's huge respect across the country for what Donal has contributed to player rights, and without a doubt, there's a lot of people can be very thankful that he done that.
Na cinreacht agus lena láideach mar farsan, cinnte gur afric sé na lasúcháin atá déanta éisin an fórsa tamána a bhíor sin.
Tá sí samanta ag Donal Cusack. Tá sé sin tucrétí ar fad.
First guy to introduce tactics as a goalkeeper and to revolutionise it off the field for player welfare. That it will ultimately be what he's defined for. Not Donal Cusack probably as a goalkeeper, or the fact that Donal Cusack was the first open GAA sportsman in Ireland. He'll be defined for revolutionising the game as a whole.